Good morning, everybody. This is the real estate guys again. Today, you're only going to get myself, Sean Johnston in Billings, Montana, and Alan Jacobson in Florida. Trip, unfortunately, was having some computer issues and won't be able to join us today. So, today's topic is going to be what should sellers do to best show off their home? And so, we're going to break this down into four different areas and kind of cover this as quickly as we can today.
That
Good to
was
see you
well
this
done,
morning, Alan.
Sean. That was well done. I really like the way you opened up the show today.
Well, thank you.
And let's all pray for Sean for Tripp's computer, please.
Yeah,
A brief moment of silence.
yeah, no doubt. It's a wonderful world we live in when computers work and everything just goes to hell in a handbasket when they don't. So
Yep, 100%. So what are we going to talk about today? We know what the title is. What are we going to talk about?
we are going to talk about how do you best show off your home when you're listing your home to be sold. So we're going to talk about four different topics. We want
Okay.
to talk about design elements and tips that make your listing pop. And then the process that we're going to go through as we prepare to put your home on the market. So before the photographer comes out for the photo shoot, what to do the day of the photo shoot. I'm actually in this process right now with a client. I'm actually going out to the house this afternoon and we're shooting the house tomorrow. And then I'm working with another client. We're going back on the market on Friday, and we're going back through this process and saying, okay, before showings, before we go back on the market, these are the things that we need to deal with. So how do you prep your home before a
I
showing?
got something. I got something I got to
All
say.
right.
Okay. So talking about what you do when you're doing the photo shoot. So I had a vacant home that I put on the market a little while ago. And when my photographer arrived there and we met, we noticed that in the living room or the family room, there were a zillion wires that were just hanging out there. And this is an expensive home. It's $1 million plus home. And there were wires for a camera system, an alarm system, cable, this, that. And I'm like, and it's a vacant home. I'm like, how the heck am I going to show this like this? So my photographer and I, we stopped. We didn't do it. And I told the seller, listen, you need to hide those wires. And that's what he did. He had all the wires put behind the wall, behind the sockets and the covering. And now it looks gorgeous. So there's a perfect example of something to not do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think if you go through Zillow, Realtor, Homes, whatever website you look at, you look at photos, like we did this last week, if I remember right, we did look at a few photos.
Uh-huh.
And I know I've done this as a realtor, that I go out, we shoot the house, I get the photos and 10 o'clock that night, whatever it is, we're gonna go live the next day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I not notice that thing on the nightstand? Or oh my gosh, there was something hanging out of the bottom of the skirt on the bed. And what happens is your eye is drawn to that thing. And so you lose perspective on the room, because now instead of looking at the room, you're looking at that thing. And absolutely follows with what you're saying. And we've all done it. Even on the best shoot, I've come out of $1 million homes and gone, oh my gosh, how did we miss that? And so very, very critical that you start there and make sure you're prepped for that. What would you say about design and things to make a person's home pop, that maybe they making a you were just talking, you and I were talking prior to going live about the ways that you helped a gal from New York, if I remember correctly,
Right.
make some adjustments on her home that were more than just, hey, I cleaned up the bedroom.
Right. Oh, 100%. When I go and look at a home, I'm constantly analyzing, looking through the eyes of a buyer. because that's what's really important. And it's very difficult for sellers to look through the eyes of a buyer. And most buyers nowadays want to go into a home, look at the home, and look at it as something, it's going to be one of two things. Either that they can just move in, bring their toothbrush and belongings and move right in, or they might look at it as a project to work on. But more often than not, I'm finding buyers don't want to have to do too much work once they're in. So I took over a couple listings recently where the homes were just, they were not as sellable and they weren't able to get the dollar value that they could have commanded had we not discussed and worked on a couple changes. So for instance, in one, there was a different color paint in every bedroom.
Mm.
And buyers are not necessarily always creative, or they're not able to always envision what it is that the home will look like. So you kind of have to present it to them in a way that's very neutral. So I told this seller who had her home on the market for, I think it was 5 months before I took over. And I said, okay, we need to paint all the bedrooms neutral. We need to repaint the kitchen neutral and the family room. And it cost her a little over $5,000 to do that. And then in a very short period of time, we sold the home for $70,000 more than any previous offer she had had. So I would like to attribute it to the fact that those changes, plus some marketing and other things that I was doing, are what got her a better price. I have another home that's closing on June 20th that was listed for several months, and it had massive built-ins in it. And there was a Murphy bed in one of them, massive office furniture, dated 1970s or 1980s, like blocky type of furniture in the master bedroom. And every room, again, was painted dark, different colors, pink, this, that. And I just said to this seller who inherited the property, I said, if you really want to get maximum value out of the home, let's make these changes. So we repainted the entire interior. We pulled out all the built-ins, which opened up the space of the room and enabled the buyers to envision whatever they wanted, not what the sellers had. We replaced all the blinds. We replaced some fixtures, this, that. He spent about $14,000, but we got $110,000 more than a previous offer that he had. So I would think it's worth it. So it's, sometimes I personally will tell people, okay, you just need to replace this little bit of carpeting, or we need to repaint, or we need to fix up the front a little bit, put in some flowers, fix up the curb appeal of your home, paint the door, change the doorknobs. I've got one I'm working on right now. Just got to change the doorknob and where the knocker is. Things like that you need to do so that when people look at the home, they don't start imagining what else is wrong with that house. My silent
Great. I
partner
muted
here, Paul.
myself so I wouldn't be grunting in the background in agreement with you all the time. I have to say I would agree with you, and I'll tell a little story on myself. My background was financial planning and real estate investing for most of my adult life. And so when I got into real estate as a broker, I still had that mentality, and I would tell clients consistently, no, 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 don't spend money on this, don't spend money on that. Your house is what it is. And I think the truth is you can do a lot of small things. Paint is inexpensive, especially in a lot of cases, the people can do the painting themselves. They don't always have to hire a contractor. Maybe it's 1 or 2 bedrooms. I know we had a house that, like you were saying, we talked to some folks where they had an agent already. We did a walkthrough on their home. We gave them some insights as to how we would approach fixing why their listing hadn't sold in 6 months. They did those things and they were able to get the home sold, even though we weren't the ones listing the house for them. And so those little things matter. I know I've got the one that's going back on the market here day after tomorrow. You know, they're going through and doing some weeding and mowing the lawn, and they've touched up the paint exterior wise. They've repaired some doors. They're just addressing those little curb appeal things that we've both heard it over and over again. Oh, we really liked the home, except it's just a little more work than we were looking for.
Yeah. Another thing that I see a lot of in pictures of other homes when I do my research is a lot of clutter inside the homes, on countertops. It's really amazing how space makes a home or a room look bigger, but also just more viscerally appealing. I had to make sure I got that out of my mouth properly. Viscerally appealing, but it's so true. It's just the way the mind works. And when you look at a picture, and this is something that I've noticed a lot, if you have a room, and let's just use a family room or a living room as an example, and you've got X amount of furniture in there, but that picture has the corner of a chair in the right-hand corner sticking out. Believe it or not, that little thing, which is easily solvable, can be a detraction. And since we're on the subject of pictures, the pictures have got to look good. The rooms have to look large as they can possibly be. They have to look well lit, and they have to look uncluttered, because clutter makes a buyer jump to conclusions that a home is messy. So, it's just really funny.
Not cared for. I think
Right.
even
100%.
more concerning is oftentimes they feel like the home hasn't been cared for when it's cluttered.
Yeah. One of my pet peeves also, and this is my personal pet peeve, and I'm very careful about this. And folks, you may not like what I have to say, but I know it works. So pay close attention to this. When I see a room, bedrooms, and I see a blanket over a bed, and I see that blanket is wrinkled, or the bed in any way is wrinkled, it's a turnoff. Again, it's a visceral thing. It's not always something that you're cognitively thinking on a conscious level. It's just something that hits at you because you want to see neat, tidy, clean lines. And I make sure that whenever I have pictures taken, I take out all bathroom rugs. If there's a small area rug, it goes out so you could see the floor, because an empty floor, when I say empty, I mean, let's say it's tile or wood, whatever it is, it makes the room look bigger. It looks broken up sometimes when you have some of these area rugs. I make sure that my beds have really clean looking lines. These little things make a huge impact on what the buyer, when they're digesting your home, what they actually feel. Would you agree with that?
100%. I think the thing that's interesting is even myself, I've bought some scary looking houses over the years. I used to tell my partners that we don't make money on pretty houses. We only make money on ugly houses, right? What was that company back in the day?
We buy ugly houses.
We buy ugly houses, right?
Yeah.
But they don't pay any money for ugly houses. They buy ugly houses because ugly houses are cheap, and then you fix them up and you make them crisp and pretty, and then that's how you make your profit. And
Right.
I think oftentimes I've had this conversation with clients who, friends. I'm thinking of one conversation specifically with a good friend who had remodeled his own house, and it wasn't done yet. You know, he's got 3 kids and their busy life, and he laughed. He said, "You know what? You need to walk through my house because you'll see the things that I've stopped seeing because I've been walking by them for a year, 2, 3 years. You know, a light switch cover missing, a receptacle cover that's broken, all these little things that we don't see." But what was I telling you before we started? The house we live in is not the house we sell. Let me say that again, because it's really, it was a, a big epiphany for me, was the house you live in is not the house you sell. We sold
I love that. I got to interrupt you. I love that. That's almost as good as Einstein's E equals MC squared. I love that.
well, I think it helps a person, it without being mean, because as your agent, my goal is just to help you. I
Right.
want to get you every penny I can for your home because that's what's in your best interest. So when I say we're going to declutter, I'm not saying that you're a bad housekeeper. I'm saying even a house, a good example, we had a beautiful resort style home. We're at 17 minutes. We've got 3 minutes to go.
Okay.
But beautiful, beautiful home, but 2 dogs, 2 young boys, and a mother-in-law. And we had the conversation. The house you live in is not the house you sell. And they understood that. And so we went to Home Depot and we bought potted plants and we bought new covers, or what's the word I'm looking for? Cushions for the patio furniture. We made sure that everything was as crisp as it could possibly be. And then going to the showing scenario, we did not show that home unless there was enough time for the family to comfortably prepare their home.
Oh, absolutely.
Agents couldn't
That's
call and say, "Hey, we want to show it in 30 minutes." No, we had selective times available when the family could prepare to leave and the house was able to be presented appropriately. And we still had people say, "Oh, there was dust on the trim." We could tell that they had dogs, whatever the case might be. So those things matter. Short,
Oh,
long story short.
100%. 100%. I had a home several years ago where it was an investor, and I went on a listing appointment to meet with him, and he was trying to sell on his own. And as soon as I walked in, I smelled smoke. So here's another red flag. I smelled smoke, and I noticed that in the bedrooms, there were no blinds. And the home next to it on one side of one of the bedrooms was very close. And you just see the wall there. So I made a couple suggestions to him. I said that he should get some kind of, he should clean the AC system, clean the ducts, and that he should use Febreze or something, because the smell is really bad, and if people walk through and they smell it right away, it's a turnoff. And I would recommend putting up blinds. He said to me, "You're 100% right. Can you list for me?" Because people don't always think of the things that they need to do in order to get their homes sold. And I know that we've hit on some. We probably could talk for hours about this. Maybe next week, maybe we'll talk about this again and elaborate on a couple other things that I don't think we hit on. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And I think another topic that might be interesting is what's going on in the market right now. I think there's probably people out there that are wondering how long homes are staying on the market. I know we were talking on another mastermind group that you and I are part of, that days on market's going up, houses going unsold during their listing period is going up. Mortgage rates have not come down like we were told they were going to be 6 months ago, and that's having an impact on buyers and sellers, and might be an interesting topic to talk about as well. So
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Sorry we
Well,
didn't have Trip today, everybody, but hopefully next week we'll have computers working in all 3 states. But always put comments or questions below on when you see this post. And if there's a topic that you would like us to talk about, please let us know. We'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
thank you, guys.
Take care.